Sometimes the best way to learn is by making mistakes, but some people's mistakes just seem to get dumber every time. Luckily, the outcomes of the dumbest actions often punish the people who do them, sometimes immediately. So sit back and enjoy watching stupidity take its course, with these times dumb people got punished in the best ways. You've probably heard of Dumb and Dumber, but it's time to meet Dumbest. In negative 16-degree weather, this man thought licking a metal pole would be fun. It stopped being enjoyable once he realized the pole was cold enough for frost to begin forming on his tongue. That's right, some people really are as stupid as classic comedy characters.
Oh.
Lamborghinis may cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, but if this owner is anything to go by, perhaps they should invest a little more into stronger windshields. This guy is so desperate for the attention his wheels are getting that he clambers upward, cracking the windscreen in the process. Worst of all, he pretends not to notice while his female companion winces in embarrassment. I doubt she's a stranger to his cringeworthy antics. Never bite off more than you can chew, especially living things. This phrase was totally ignored in early 2019 when a Chinese influencer filmed herself eating a live octopus. The octopus isn't best pleased and grips with full sucker force on her face, sending her from playful to panicked in seconds. But unbelievably, after she manages to pull it off, she promises to eat it in her next video. The octopus isn't the only thing that sucks, but it is the only thing with an ounce of intelligence in that video. When Mark Bao's laptop was stolen, he was grateful for the remote access software he'd installed, allowing him to access his files from another computer. But better than any work-related file or family photo was this video, which Mark stumbled upon. The video features the man who stole the laptop celebrating his crime with a joyful dance. In the ultimate revenge move, Mark uploaded the dance video to YouTube, where it went viral. Despite the thief getting in contact with Mark directly asking him to take the embarrassing video down, Mark refused. It's generated over 2 million views in the 8 years it's been online. Doesn't it suck to have something stolen from you, Mr. Thief? Like, oh, I don't know, your dignity? In this video, shared in July 2019, a 65-year-old Oklahoma resident is pulled over to sign an $80 ticket for a broken taillight. It could all be so simple, but she refuses to sign.
Step out.
No.
You're under arrest.
No, I'm not.
The situation escalates and the officer instructs her to step out of the vehicle because she's now under arrest. She refuses again, and things get crazy.
You better leave me.
After a lot of shouting, kicking, and eventually a taser shot, the surprisingly resistant lady gives up the fight.
Do you realize you just got yourself in a whole lot more trouble
What?
for running?
But it's too late for her, and her aggressive stupidity turned an $80 ticket into a felony charge. In this CCTV footage from August 2019, a Washington local parks up his red truck and heads across the street to rob a store. He must have assumed it'd be a quick in and out job because he leaves his keys in the unlocked truck. But he's not the only criminal in the area, and as he returns, his getaway vehicle is stolen before his very eyes. The unlucky robber foolishly called the police, who soon realized the man calling them had just robbed the nearby store, adding 2 counts of utter embarrassment to his sentence. What could possibly go wrong by lighting a sled on fire inside your parents' home and riding it down the stairs? One hero took it upon himself to find out. Granted, this is probably the most original way to light your house on fire, but the cameraman does his noble duty and continues to film despite the flames. Heroes don't all have to be smart, right? Up next, we have the queen of not thinking it through. While attempting to complete the inherently stupid 100-layer challenge, Andrea Jimenez films herself learning in real time exactly why people usually opt for 1 or 2 layers of clothing.
Oh my god! Oh no!
The heat hits and panic sets in as she struggles to get free. She did get free eventually, but layered clothing is probably a no-go for her now. In July 2019, in a Walmart in Lufkin, Texas, an innocent tub of Bluebell ice cream experienced a licking that would cost the licker way more than the tub's price. A young woman was filmed licking the dessert and putting it back in the freezer, and the online video was soon picked up by authorities. Thanks to the seriousness with which the food industry treats contamination risk like this, she now potentially faces 20 years in jail and up to a $10,000 fine. It seems her sentence will be anything but a soft serve. Universal traffic law states that anyone taking up 2 parking spots forfeits their human rights. And in this clip, vigilante justice is dealt against this heinous crime committed by the owner of a silver sedan. The keeper of justice in the red car parks mere inches away from the space-hogging car, making it impossible to access the driver's door. It's a minor inconvenience, but an important one nonetheless. Please sign my petition for driving schools to play this video and demonstrations of how to get vengeance on parking lot idiots. Overseas in Russia, a man settles a parking spot dispute in a slightly more extreme and typically Russian fashion. After their neighbor's car encroaches upon their space one too many times, the mad lad takes a power saw and straight up carves a chunk off the car. If something needs doing, you may as well do it properly, I guess. Now for some stupidity that was so potent, it tore a family apart. In 2013, Jennifer Connell received a hug from her 8-year-old nephew Sean after he saw her arrive at his birthday party. Like most 8-year-olds, Sean wasn't expecting his hug to result in him being the defendant in a lawsuit brought about by his very own aunt. But Connell claimed Sean was negligent when he leapt in her arms for a hug as he knocked her over and she broke her wrist. Connell attempted to sue her 8-year-old nephew for $127,000. Just let that sink in. It only took 20 minutes for the jury to decide that Connell had no grounds for her civil claim against her young relative, and if she hated hugs that much, she could have just said. The phrase, "play stupid games, win stupid prizes," has never been more suitable than in this next video. This guy's unique and dangerous take on recycling involves batting beer bottles off into the distance, but in the slippery residue of his previous efforts, he slips off the ledge and into the garbage graveyard below. I think this might need some revisions before it replaces the current garbage removal systems the first world has in place. Combining drunkenness, stupidity, and an inability to open doors is a dangerous mix. In this clip, a man returns a keg long after the place he bought it from is shut and runs into some issues when the door refuses to open. But Kegman doesn't take no for an answer. He repeatedly hurls the keg at the door, eventually making a keg-sized hole in the glass, and attempts to enter feet first. That doesn't work, so he tries head first. And despite what must be a very painful glass-on-skin scrape sesh, he makes it in. Ironically, the doorframe actually busted open on his first throw. If he'd only pulled and not pushed, he would have saved himself the effort and embarrassment. But he also would have prevented us enjoying his stupidity, not to mention that killer headstand. So maybe it's all for the best. As most people know, texting while driving a car is one of the stupidest things a person can do. But texting while driving a tram might be even worse, since your passengers' lives are also in your hands. In this clip, a tram driver decides she's got more important things to focus on than, say, making sure she doesn't crash. Turns out, mashing the brakes at the last second isn't enough to stop a 40-ton tram car from plowing into the one in front of it. Who'd have guessed? Now for an off-the-rails encounter of a different kind. This zombie-like drug fiend caught on a doorbell camera in 2018 desperately wants to break into this home, for reasons unknown. Totally unaware he's being filmed or how loud he's being, he knocks himself into a daze after attempting to break down the door. Then, like a tortoise with zero dignity, he gets stuck on his back as he tumbles over the porch railing, trying and failing to swing himself back up. Or maybe he's just a trainee chiropractor. There are many potential outcomes to sticking a lit firecracker inside the trunk of a car, but I'm not sure these doofuses quite anticipated the display they received. Although the maniacal laughter that follows seems to suggest that, even if it was a shock, they're a little too dumb to care. Ever seen pallbearers freestyle dance while carrying a coffin? There's a reason you probably haven't. These 5 pallbearers balance a coffin equally on their shoulders while busting some moves. But things soon turn morbid when one dancer gets carried away and drops the coffin, spilling grandma out of it. That's a comeback nobody at the funeral was expecting. That's gonna be dangerous, especially for the dim-witted. Case in point, this Reddit user who shared an endoscopy picture of a dice stuck inside his esophagus. He'd made a bet with a friend for €5 that he could swallow a dice, but when he put his money where his mouth was, it got caught in his lower esophagus. But honestly, I'd much rather have it removed from my throat via endoscopy than passing it out the other end. Kids usually get a free pass for dumb decisions, but these boys are an exception. The lads dare their friend to hide in a trash can while they close the lid. Unfortunately for them, the trash can in question has a trapdoor that opens when the lid closes, and down the kid goes into the trash collection chamber below. Luckily, the kid was freed soon afterwards and didn't end up compacted into a cube. Or worse, encountering this guy.
I'm the trash man.
A bright object being held by a not-so-bright person is a recipe for disaster. Sure, by all means, check out how bright your new flashlight is. But maybe shining it directly into your eyes isn't the best method. His common sense is clearly long gone, and now he's losing the sense of sight too. Next, he'll probably want to see what fire smells like, or how lava tastes. Man versus nature. It's a tale as old as time. But in this video, nature wins after a Louisiana man attempts to punch a carp. He unknowingly triggers a fear reaction in the rest of the Mud Pond's carp and is quickly defeated when they swarm him in a fishy frenzy. Power in numbers. Attacking inanimate objects is rarely the mark of a genius, but occasionally, like the category of dummy this fellow falls into, is met with worthier opponents than expected. He should have known wild traffic lights are known for their aggression during mating season. Of all the things it's okay to do down at the skate park, surrounding a firework with bottles of liquid fuel before letting rip isn't one of them. Thankfully, these rules of etiquette are forced upon this pyromaniac, who manages to Molotov cocktail himself during the explosion. The gods of idiot punishment clearly have superb aim.